Welcome back to Hall of Fame College Football's Sooner Magic Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Watkins, and if you love college football, especially OU football, you're definitely in the right place. So before you forget, smash that red subscriber button, like our videos, and don't forget to ring the bell so you don't miss one moment of Hall of Fame college football. Welcome into the show. A few people so far. Chicken was in here a minute ago. Good to see everybody. Dominic Williams time. It is starting to look like it could be Oklahoma. I think it was somebody that runs in his family, either his uncle, some kind of handler or something, just put up a tweet with a picture from a hotel room that appeared like it was in Oklahoma City to me. Let's put this up and see if anybody recognizes it. Does that look right to you guys? What's up there, Collins? Brian Egner, Chicken, Kentucky-based Sooner here. What's up, Brian? Good to be here. Good to have you here, man. Glad you're here. Everybody hear me okay? Make sure. Let's see. So, does that look like what's up, T Boomer? This came from, let me make sure where it came from real quick. Coach Landers, Coach. He said, I can enjoy this view. And that appears to be, what's up there, Chicken? That appears to be definitely Oklahoma City. It certainly is not Baton Rouge. I just know that much. Yep. What's up there, Bishop Frank? Welcome into the show, everybody. Looks like it's not confirmation yet, but that was posted about 30 minutes ago. So somewhere in there, it's looking as if it may be Dominic Williams time. Posted something there. See the scissor tail? Mm-hmm. Yep. I was noticing that too, my man. So I'll blow this up a little more. Doesn't really help, huh? Anyway. What's up? Good to see you over there. Yeah. Posted a message about Drink as well. What about him? Did he say he sucked? What's up, Collins, man? Good to see you in here. It was funny. Do explain, Stephen G. Do explain. I think you do get some options. It's something you'll definitely want to talk to them about, though. But I mean, they'll have a small. Generally speaking, you have I don't know how it is in the SEC really, but generally speaking, you have a small allotment. But he said, "Drink ID Millhouse for this." Hey, that's awesome. Brian, honestly, I think they usually have an allotment for season ticket holders that you can buy, but it all depends, man. It all depends. I would definitely check with your maybe send an email to the ticket office and stuff. That's funny, man. The Millhouse from the Simpsons stuff. Well, as I said, hopefully that is going down, and we will keep our eye on the Twitter machine here. I'm sure that we'll see something. SEC making the Super League. Yeah, make sure you guys, if you haven't already went over and checked out last night's SEC Connect show, that's with, of course, Jay from Unfair Sports, K. Chris, Nino from Nino's Corner, and Fanatic Perspective. Those guys do a great show. Obviously, Ty from Unfair or Around the Table Sports. They had a pretty cool episode last night. Make sure you guys get in there and check that out. Let's see what else we getting. I hadn't seen anything yet, but we will keep an eye on it. They had a Mizzou football thing in here too. One of those I don't know. That's pretty funny. Most fun recruitment due to the fact that all three of the leading schools felt confident till last night and this morning. None of the insiders know on any board. Well, according to what I saw there on 3, Stoya posted a quick story. They had a live a few minutes ago, but I missed it. But Stoya posted on there that it felt like Texas was out of it and that it was between LSU and Oklahoma. And Mizzou, and he didn't feel like Mizzou was in it either. That was what he said on, and I think that was just like within the last, a little bit, really. So we'll find out, but yeah, I mean, we're gonna. What did he say? Let's see exactly what he says. Is it OSU or Texas or LSU? We were that at the beginning, and now we'll be there at the end. It feels like Mizzou is off the board and Texas isn't a strong contender. It's the Tigers and Sooners battling it out for a huge piece at a position of need. OU's done everything right in this transfer recruitment. He says every single thing. There's no hindsight or second guessing. It's simply time to find out from Williams on Thursday where he's going. Look, oh, did he? When was that? Just recently? Yeah, we're gonna have to find out, man. I mean, here's the deal on it too. So now I guess it was. I've heard different things from different places. You've heard some people saying that they've offered the largest NIL package that they've offered yet at Oklahoma. Gabe was saying on Teddy and Gabe last week, he felt like that he had heard the number, and I've heard a rumor about the number, but I don't know what it. And then I think it was Brandon and Parker that were saying last night that it may have been open-ended, that whatever the number was that they needed to match, that they would match it or go above it. So I don't know. That does not sound like Oklahoma when it comes to playing that game. But if they really feel like he is the difference between having a very good defensive line and having an elite SEC defensive line coming in, okay, that makes sense. I know that a lot of people are thinking, yeah, he is doing it right. Yeah. He followed him last night at about 11. Okay. Hey, what's up there, Robbie? Hey, look, man, I respect the game too. And I respect the game of him as well, because it's hard to not let anything like this leak out. What you're doing. I mean, there's stuff that's been around, and I mean, you're hearing stuff from certain places, but when none of these guys are saying anything definitive, I watched a little bit of, I mean, I don't usually watch them, but I watched a little bit of the OU Insider guys last night, and they were completely non-committal, pretty much, and then it was like a lot of back and forth on what I don't know if they knew what to think. So it didn't sound like they knew anything at all. Stoya, I mean, he did just post that here a little bit ago, as far as that, or no, it was Bob. I guess it was Bob from George Stoya or what on Sooner Scoop. But it says, feels like Mizzou's off the board and Texas isn't a strong contender. I don't know that really means anything. We should probably go and check. We can check out Texas and see what they're saying. But in any event, guys, I mean, here's the deal. I would say that when it comes to this kid, I mean, you've got a lot of people, and something that's making me think that it's not Texas is that you've got a lot of guys on Twitter that would, if they really thought they had this guy, that he would already be there, right? And I mean, they would already be excited and talking trash or whatever. But you're hearing them like preemptive coping. You know, oh, he ain't that good. He's not. I mean, we were talking to a guy on there last night that was saying a bunch of stuff like that. He just kept talking about Murphy and how he wasn't as good as Murphy. He's a rotational piece. He's not an elite guy or anything like that. It's not a big time piece. And all he kept going back to was the difference in their PFF grades as far as the run's concerned. Well, Murphy was there for freaking an extra 2 years in compared to, Williams. And Williams was a freshman All-American, but he came in as a 3-star. That's why he was at TCU. So if you think about it, in view of the fact that he was kind of one of those unheralded recruits, I mean, there wasn't a ton of competition for him, I'm sure. I mean, I guess there was some, but he wasn't, it was nothing like the David Stone, recruitment or anything like that. So I can see why he did this. But it is what it is. Yeah, you're thinking the same thing. I mean, yeah, it just doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like Texas is very, like they feel like they're in a good place, right? And because already making using those little coping mechanisms that we know Texas fans like to use of, oh, well, he's not that good. When they really need interior defensive line help more than Oklahoma does. We already got Lele coming there from Louisville. So that's one of the things that you've already got him coming. So if it wasn't to happen, I still feel like you are going to be a good SEC defensive line anyway. And I still feel like this is the year. We've talked about this a bunch. There's a reason why there is a lot of Oklahoma fans that are excited about where this thing is. First off, if you look at their recruiting overall, you go 8-5-8 in the composite rankings. Right now, they're sitting anywhere from like fourth on Rivals. I want to say it's like, let me see where they are on 3. Real quick. Team. On 3 hasn't moved them. They still got them at 11th. Let's see if they've even changed anything. Not really. But they didn't have Guillory very high. But you're also, looking at a couple of different deals. But as far as Rivals was concerned, I know they were talking about that they have them at 4th right now. They're projected to get as high as anywhere in maybe the top 3. Definitely top 5 again. But again, if you do that, great. There's still some other for this class coming up. You're looking at a situation where if you're looking at a situation for the 2025 class that if you add some of the defensive tackles that they're looking at right now, and they've got offers out to these guys, and we can kind of run through that. I'm not going to stay on through because it's a lot harder to navigate. But hold on a second. See, they have them at 6th, and they're 6th in the composite rankings for sure for 2025. But you've got, the commitment from Trent Wilson, 4-star, one of the high-rated 4-star guys. A lot of people have been talking about him being his top 100 guy. He's already a top 200 guy, I know, for Rivals. On 3, I think they have him in like their top 250 as well. But composite wise, let's see where they are on the composite. Yeah, he's a composite 4-star in the top 150 according to 247 as well. So there's another They're targeting some other guys that, you're looking at a situation where you could very easily, if they see them getting a couple of these guys that are going to be monsters, if you were able to get a couple of flips here and there, it wouldn't be bad either. But when you start looking at where you are in that secondary, which is very, very much something that I've been excited about, is the fact that, first off, what we've already seen from the freshmen that were here for the spring, those guys were, we talked about Michael Boganowski. We talked to his dad on the show here last week. That was cool. But you've got a few other guys in the safety room, plus some corners coming in over the summer that are going to make a big difference. Notably, Bobby Newcomb's son, former Nebraska all-star, stud guy. His son Jeremiah will be here for the summertime. He looks like a plug-and-play guy. When you start looking at who they've got coming in this class and to me, the Torrey Blaylock deal is huge. He's unbelievable. But you've also got staying with the defense, Cortland Guillory. This is a 6 foot, 175-pound guy. That's the same that you're getting out of Malik Hawkins. He's kind of low down the list as far as his rankings are concerned as well. They're still showing him as a 3-star, even in the composite. But he's another 6'1", 180-pound guy too. These are guys and Guillory's the same. You're talking about corners that are big, physical, have great ball skills. They are prototypical, Brent Venables defense guys, So it's huge. Let's see what it's saying. I feel it's split. Family wants OU. The handler wants LSU. So it's going to boil down to who's making that final decision. Oh, I've been saying that OU will be in the SEC championship game, and if they get Williams, I won't be the only one singing that tune. SEC championship game is a tall order in year one, but if they can be one of the top 2 defensive teams in the league, you definitely give them an opportunity to do that, right? And again, I think that the idea that the Texas guys seem to be not feeling it really. In Texas, Twitter's loud when they think they got somebody, right up until they don't. And then they act like they don't give a shit. Well, they're already acting like they don't care, and that they're looking at the guys from Michigan State, or they're hoping that they had been hoping that one of the guys at Michigan was going to get out. But what we know is that Dominic Williams was the top-ranked interior defensive lineman in the portal. He was a freshman All-American. He's got more tackles, or he's got like 10 less tackles in 2 seasons at TCU than what Murphy had in 3 at Texas. Talking about a first-round guy. So, he is a real deal player. And we're talking about a guy that didn't have a running mate like Sweat to take up 2 big blockers for him and free him up to make those tackles. So I like Byron Murphy, but I think this guy's going to be a big deal. And it allows you to work David Stone, Jaden Jackson, even possibly, obviously with Nigel Smith and those guys, work them into the picture, not make them have to start and have to have a big impact, right? I think you get a lot of the same from Lole as long as he's healthy. But again, with the depth, and that's what's important. You're looking at a room that's probably getting to be around 10, 11 deep at this point. So it's looking great. In the conference championship hunt, regardless. Yeah. They're going to be fine at kicker, bro. They've got a competition going on there. The guy just got there. They'll get him lined out. They'll get him lined out. What they needed to do was focus on special teams, and they've got a guy that's one of the best in the country. Yeah. OU and Georgia will be the best 2 defenses, and Georgia might just be the second of the 2. I think that's possible. I think that's possible. Yeah. Yes. Correct. Stank ass cat. What's up, my man? Good morning. Folks, if you have not hit that like button on your way in, how did you enter this house without wiping your feet? That is not cool. And it is. This is egregious. Make sure that you do that. All right. Make sure you do that. Still, let's check Twitter. Quick check. Latest updates from them 15 minutes ago. Nothing yet. Whoop. PG just posted that tweet you were talking about earlier. With oh man, that was too funny. Who was it that was saying that? I was trying to go back through there. But anyway, yeah, the Millhouse tweet. That's funny stuff. Let me get to that. Let me share that real quick. It says you could be your next head coach. So this guy's still playing the game, man. That's because this was just about 30 minutes ago. Huh. Well, there you go. So we'll see. I haven't seen anything that says anything just yet. What time is his announcement? You doing a watch party? I don't think he didn't really give a time. I know that he's been. That's what we say. Everybody's been saying he's been playing the game. So we're going to talk about some other stuff, and I'll keep looking up for it. Right? Yeah, he definitely has been. Right? It's fire. Yes, sir. Yeah. So we'll talk about a few other things first. So I don't know how many of you guys might have caught it, and I don't know how many of you guys watch the channel, but on John Kurtz last night, he is K-State guy, does a lot of he's really his biggest thing is a lot of realignment talk. Definitely a Big 12 homer, which I understand. I mean, he works out of Manhattan. Does a lot of radio and stuff, but he does a lot of live streams. He has a pretty good size following as well. But he got a hold of what we saw from Barry Trammell this past week and echoed it quite loudly. Oklahoma is not SEC ready. Of course, his pro Big 12 crowd enjoyed that. Even some of the Texas folks that I saw in there, I was watching it last night when I was working a little bit. It is it's still funny to me that you're seeing a lot of this kind of stuff because I was looking through, and let me pull this up as well. So I got into a new Patreon deal, and it's with let's see that guy's name again real quick. Oh, yeah. So the CFB professor on Patreon, pretty cool guy. he does a lot of analytics and stuff, and actually they do a lot of it for it's advanced metrics and stuff to kind of grade out teams, do stuff like that. It's a lot of betting information, but roster talent rankings, returning production. They do a team index for and see how it compares to all other teams given the 4 elements of his model formula. The 4 elements are roster talent, coaching staff efficiency, returning production, and returning experience. Now, for all these folks that have Oklahoma finishing in that 8 or 10 range, around the SEC, that's not where this guy has Oklahoma. Now I'll start off with Alabama just to give you an example. He's got them projected at 9-3. They've got about what they call 5 toss-up games. He's got them projected at 9-3 with a 5-3 conference record. Ceiling of 11-1. So probably ranked just a shade ahead of where Oklahoma is. Now, their 5-year model history for Alabama, he usually hits it pretty good. 2019, he had them at 12-0. They went 10-2. 2020, he had them at 11-0. They hit 11-0. 2021, he had them at 13-0. They went 12-1. 22, 12-0. They went 10-2. And last year, he had them going 12-0, and they went 11-1. So his metrics are pretty good as far as what, he's got a good record with them. When you go to Oklahoma, let me go to Oklahoma real quick and kind of just highlight some of this stuff, because this is another one of those reasons. There's a lot of reasons that we could talk about. Oh, what's up there, man? How you doing, Topher? So he also has Oklahoma at 9-3. So for all these folks that are saying 6 wins, 7 wins, maybe 8-4 being the ceiling, he's got their ceiling at 12-0. His ceiling for Alabama was 11-1. Ceiling for Alabama is 11-1. The floor he's got at 6-6 because he has 3 toss-up or 6 toss-up games, what he calls a toss-up game. So his 5-year model on Oklahoma starting in 2019, he's missed it every year, but only by 1 to 2 games, aside from the 2022 season. Why he thought that they were still an 11-1 program, I don't know. But 2021, he had them going at 12-0. They ended up at 10-2. That was the most he had missed it by. Usually he's missing it by about 1 the other 4 seasons that we're talking about. So he's got a good record of predicting Oklahoma success. Again, he goes by coaching staffs and a lot of that other stuff, but let's look at their games. They're favored to win the Temple game by like 38 points, Houston by 24, same with Tulane. Tennessee at home, they're favored by 7 points, and he's given them a 70% chance of winning that game. At Auburn, there's your first toss-up. He still has them projected to win, but the spread's only at 1.82 according to him. It's a real detailed spread. Versus Texas, he's got it as a toss-up, but as a loss. And Texas is giving 4 points. There's only these 3 games that they actually are not favored in. South Carolina, he's got them favored to win by 17. Ole Miss, he's got them favored to win. Actually favored to lose. Ole Miss is favored, but it's another toss-up game because it's only by 2.32 is what he's got it at. Maine, 46 points. At Mizzou, Oklahoma's favored. It's a toss-up, but he's got them at 54%, and Missouri getting 1.5 points. Alabama, he's got them favored to win that one too at home. Another toss-up. It's just a 1-point spread as far as they're concerned. But then they are underdogs at LSU, but only by 4 points. Another toss-up. His expectation is record in toss-up games of 3-3. So that's what puts you at that 9-3. I mean, look, this is a lot better than what we were seeing out of any of these other creators or the national guys or any of that kind of stuff. And tonight when we do the SEC, No Cap SEC show, going to run through a lot of these, what we got from him. But I love this thing. I mean, I like advanced analytics, and there's a lot of things he's going by. You're looking at offensive returning production. You've got 43.9%. Defensive returning production, 78.9%. So you've got over 60% of your team coming back. That's a good thing. Production national rank, it says 111, but schedule, roster, talent difference, he's got Oklahoma at number 10. Let's see. Did I get that right? Hold on. No. Model confidence, he's confident 4 out of 10, I guess. Projected overall record. Chance of 10-win season, about a 30% chance of that. Now, this can obviously change as players are added and stuff like that. But as far as where he had talent ranking, they moved up some. Their roster talent ranking is number 5 in the SEC. So that's, and it's just right behind Texas's talent roster ranking. And it's not by much, I don't think. So let's go and because I wanted to look at, that's what we're looking at. Team power ratings. He's got Oklahoma slotted in a tie for 5th with Ole Miss at 80.558 is his index ranking. But he's got them ranked at number 10 and Oklahoma at number 11 coming in. So, I mean, it's a lot. It's considerably different. The roster talent, as I said, they're at number 5. A&M's right behind them. You start looking at Missouri, they're way down that list at number 11, even though they're over there pounding their chest about how good they are. Hey, thanks, Derek. Appreciate that. Yeah. Team roster talent, number 5. A&M. So it goes. A&M dropped a couple of spots since, I guess, the last time he did this. Oklahoma went up 1. Texas went up 1. LSU dropped a couple of spots, so they were number 1 coming in. Home field advantage, though. You've got Alabama, Georgia, Oklahoma. 6-year winning percentage. Actually, the 6-year winning percentage, Georgia has a better one. At 97.6%. Oklahoma's is at 90.48. Closest from there is like 82%. LSU, A&M 76. That's home field advantage. So LSU higher in the power ranking? No, yes, they are actually. Yeah, the power ratings, Oklahoma's at 5 or 6. They're tied for 5th, but they're 6th. But LSU, they got them in at number 4. Projected conference rankings, you've got Oklahoma projected to tie with about 1, 2, 3, 4 other schools at 9-3, but 3 of those 4 schools they will have played. So here's the deal: if you hit that 9-3 number, and those teams that they're talking about, actually all 4 of them they're going to play. So they've got Ole Miss, Missouri, Alabama, and Tennessee and Oklahoma. No, not Ole Miss. Missouri, Bama, Tennessee, Oklahoma, all expected to go 9-3. So they play all those schools. You'll have a good opportunity to, whatever tiebreaker it is to get in, like to a championship or conference championship, or if that was the case, because they will have played all of them. Now, that doesn't mean that's what is going to happen, but hey, what's up, Nelio? Thanks, man. Thanks for the super chat. Good morning, Jason, and good morning, everyone. Thank you, sir. Who we got? JC Hallmark. OU fans since the 60s, they've always seemed to play better when ranked a little low. New coaches, new players going into a different, supposedly better conference. Just let them play ball. Thank you, Jackie. Appreciate the comment. Welcome to the show. If Mid-Zou and Texas don't win 10 with their schedules, bring the moving trucks and cleanse and stuff. Yeah. Look, we've talked about all that. I mean, they're talking. Missouri didn't play anybody of significance aside from Georgia and LSU, and they lost both those games last year. They've got to play Alabama this year. They've got Oklahoma. They've got Texas A&M. Matter of fact, we can go back to that in just a second. But returning production, Oklahoma, they were like right in the middle, 8th or 9th overall production, because they're not counting. It's the offensive line is where they're losing a lot of it, right? And then, of course, quarterback. Strength of schedule. He's got Oklahoma's strength of schedule at 10th in the country. 7th in the SEC. I don't know about that. I guess because it's the overall schedule. SEC schedule, it's got to be just right behind. But he's got Florida, Alabama, Mississippi State, Georgia, Kentucky, South Carolina, then OU. So, but they're solid there. They're definitely ahead of any of those other teams that they would have to play against. Missouri's last in strength of schedule. Texas is at 10th. Tennessee is at 15th. Auburn 14th. Ole Miss at 13th. So we're talking about all 4 of those teams that he had tied. OU's the number 1 strength of schedule, right? I think that's the overall strength of schedule in the country. Yeah, but this is according to this guy's metrics. So it doesn't necessarily follow what ESPN is. He has his own power rankings. Let me go in and find that real quick on Patreon. I think I had it right here. Nope. Let me find it. So yeah, Adam McClintock is his name. And he's done a lot of stuff. So let me go into this. He's got the whole Conference USA. He's got everything in the country with it. But so just to kind of go through what his when used correctly, mathematics it's a multitude of possibilities. I began creating metrics to project college football content or college football in 2006 using advanced math. Since then, I've added more in-depth and accurate metrics every year. These metrics are used to do everything from projecting playoff committee behavior to career coaching trajectory to modeling game-by-game outcomes. If you've followed me on Twitter, you know that the game-by-game projection model that I've created rivals that of ESPN's FPI and opening Vegas lines. The career coaching trajectory metrics have successfully predicted the failure as well as the success of many coaching hires. My projection of the playoff committee top 25 has also been the most accurate the past 4 years in a row. All of these projection metrics and mathematics models take time and energy to maintain. He's talking about contributing. Patreon's obviously a pay site, right? So the Little 12's about to have a serious Houston problem. Yeah, they got a recruiting base down there now that they have something. But yeah, so I mean, look, you've got it's pretty cool. Let's see what he's got here. CFP rankings projections. I want to get a hold of this guy. Maybe have him on the show. We can talk to him a little bit, but I can message him from here. I'll get him on here one of these times. But yeah, look, it seems like he's, from what I was saying on there, what we were seeing is that his model, he does pretty good as far as projecting a lot of these teams. He's been very close on Alabama. Let's see how he was. Like on Arkansas, he had them projected to go 4-8 in 2019. They went 2-10. Last year he was one off at 5-7. They went 4-8. 8-4. They went 6-6 the year before that. He wasn't very close on 2021 because they had that one breakout year. He's always within 2 or 3 games with them, though. Auburn, let's see how he does on them. Pretty close, within a game. Within a game almost every year. All but 2022, he was within 2 games there. It's pretty good. Florida. He was a little ways off on them. He expects a little more out of them. He was right, obviously, 2019, right dead on. 2020, 2021, he expected them to go 9-3. They went 6-6. 22, they went 6-6 as well, and he had them going 9-3. Last year, he had them at 8-4. They went 5-7. I wonder what he's got them at this year. He's projecting them at 6-6 this year. Yeah, I don't know. What's up, Mars? What's up? All right. So, I mean, everybody, he had them going 12. Georgia 12-0. He got them perfect the last 2 years. He had them at 11-2 in 2021. They actually went 12-1. The COVID year, he had them at 8-1. They went 7-2. 2019, he had them going at 13-0, and they went 11-2. So the guy's record projections are salty, and even on the teams that you really don't know kind of what they're going to do. So his math works out pretty good. LSU, he's been within a couple, except for in 2021, and that's pretty much it. Except for in 2021. He's been really close. And 2020, he had them going 11-1. They were within 2 last year. He's pretty money. Let's see. He does have Texas ranked doing well as well. I still don't see this. He's got their record, projected overall record is 11-1. He thinks that's their ceiling, though. So he's got OU ceiling at 12-0, but Texas is at 11-1 for whatever reason. Their floor, he only has at 10-2. He only has them having one toss-up game against Oklahoma. He thinks they're going to beat Oklahoma. Yeah. So 37% chance of going 11-1. He thinks only a 21% chance of going 12-0. Texas last year, he was dead on with them. He had them going 11-1. They went 11-1. The year before, he had them going 11-1. They went 8-4. The year before that, he had them going 10-2. They went 5-7. He hasn't been very close on them. 2020, he had them going 8-1. They went 6-3. 2019, he had them going 9-3. They went 7-5. So a couple that he was within a couple of games, but he wasn't very close in 21 or 22. Obviously, he had expected a lot more out of them. And because they obviously had good talent rosters, right? So I still say when you have 11 guys going in the draft and you're replacing that much as far as starters are concerned, it's going to be hard to I think it's going to be hard for them to live up to that this year. Right? I just think it is. Texas A&M. I think they might be a little better. But he's got a toss-up. He's got a bunch of toss-up games for them as well, 5 of them. He's got coaches Notre Dame given almost 2 points on the road for the first game. But, it's a toss-up. They're giving 2 points at Florida. So another toss-up. Their other toss-ups are Missouri. They're expecting them to beat Missouri. I do too. Mississippi State. Mississippi State is giving up 15 there. No, he's got Texas A&M beating Mississippi State and giving 15. Oh, Mississippi State, not Ole Miss, Jason. Damn, dummy. He's got them losing a toss-up to LSU. It's like -3. South Carolina, he's got to win it by about 8. New Mexico State, of course, yeah. And then Auburn is a toss-up for him. It's at Auburn, but Auburn giving 3 to A&M, and then Texas it's not shown as a toss-up, but it's only 6 points. That one, of course, is in College Station. Yeah, I don't know about all those. Hey, I'll tell you what, man. We're gonna remember what you put down. In fact, I'm gonna write this down right here. Hank's got them going 7 and 5. Everybody, let me know in the comments, what do you have Texas going this year, and then also, what do you have Oklahoma going in 2024, first year in the SEC? Everybody, give me your predictions. Come on now. Jackie says, just let them play ball. I can't stop them from that. Jackie. Let's check Twitter. All right. Nothing yet. The latest tweet came from the insider guys, and they don't have anything other than they're waiting with bated breath. Same thing we're doing. You guys are insiders? What? What's up, PG? You know anything? I was gonna say, are you able to jump on? I'll send you something real quick. The drink meme was freaking hilarious. I already popped it up. You want me to send you a invite? Come on. Oh, PG, where are you at? I already sent you one there, bud. It's in your Twitter. It's in Twitter. Sooner Cowboys. There he is. There. Oh, you're working. Okay, never mind. What's up, Sooner Cowboys? What do you think? Let me see. Let's find out what Sooner Cowboys thinks. Is it going to happen? Did you see the photo that they had there with the view of what looked like was Oklahoma City? But he's posted a couple of other things. The handler has, so we'll see what's up. But so, what do you think, Sooner Cowboys? What's your give us your prediction? All right. So this is Mars Jams has Texas going 7 and 5, and Oklahoma 14 and 1. So that's is that a national championship there, Mars Jams? Sooner Cowboys thinks that Sooner Cowboys has been kidnapped. Whoever knows him personally, whoever knows Sooner Cowboys personally, need to get a hold of his family, tell them that he's been kidnapped. I'm concerned. I know this is not him. It's just he's been too upbeat in the last month. I just don't believe it. I can't believe it. So we're worried about you, Sooner Cowboys. We're worried about you. Okay. What did I have? Sorry about that. Mars Jams. OU at 14-1. Is that a natty? Mars Jams? Come on, what is that? Well, yeah, I would hope so. I think they're at about. I'm ready to believe it's about 75%. If you're listening to what Stoy and them are saying, I don't listen to the insider guys that much, but see, Stink even says, "Not the Debbie Downer I remember." OU is the leader. That's what you think too, PG. PG. Why do you think OU is the leader? Tell us something. You can't even jump on for a second. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think that if the money's right, because if a handler is thinking about this, they're thinking about the cash, right? So that's where it gets sticky. But if you're hearing that, I mean, everybody keeps hearing that this is the biggest offer they've ever made, or that it could even be open-ended. I mean, I hadn't heard that other than the insiders, so I don't know how believable that one is for Brandon and Parker. I don't know about that. But I do think that I definitely think Oklahoma has a good shot here. Could be any time there, Jimmy. Could be any time where we're just waiting like you. There was a picture posted from a hotel room in Oklahoma, but it could have been any time, and he could just be that. It was from the handler's account, and it could have just been him trolling. It seems like he trolls a bit. Yeah, I think so too, man. And this is something that you continually hear, and it's something that I can, me and Coach were talking about it a little bit the other night, but it's the word that you keep hearing coming from these recruits, and this is something that I've heard from a lot of different people, but it's genuine, and that they make them feel like they are. All these recruits they'll say it, every one of them to a man. It's like I'm a priority. They make me feel like I'm a priority. You heard about them going to a baseball game the other day for one of those guys down in Houston. It's just there's definitely something going on there. And so if you believe what you're hearing from folks like, and I think Gabe was talking about it a lot. George Stoya said himself that he felt like they were really close to pulling the trigger on Oklahoma. It seems like his mom and he both wanted to go on. They stayed in Oklahoma for the whole weekend, 3 days. So, and then the fact that they made that offer to his brother, that meant something to them. And I think that the money is right there with it as well. So it almost feels like, I mean, I've also heard that, whatever that OU was probably pushing to get him into the portal for that matter, or, send it through channels or whatever it is. There's no such thing as tampering, so it wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, Jonah Williams. Yeah. Yeah. So it's one of those type of deals where, yeah, here comes PG for a second. PG, what's up, man?
What's up? I'll hop in, but I'll just be audio. So
okay. No, that's cool. Welcome to the show, PG, for the PG show. What are you hearing? What have you heard from your people? Have you talked to him at all?
I've not talked to Dominic himself, but I talked to Mama. She's as OU as it can get. I mean, it's just that simple. Every time you talk to her, she talks about how much she loves the staff. She loved the visit. She loves Oklahoma. And I mean, honestly, from what you were hearing, this has been something that has been in the works for kind of a long time. Like, this isn't something that just randomly started with Oklahoma. So I think Oklahoma was the leader, if not immediately within like the first couple days of him hitting the portal. Now, I will say what Brandon Drum and Parker are saying about the open-ended NIL. I've heard that too, and not from Parker or Brandon.
Okay.
So
yeah, not from Parker. I mean, I don't even watch them. I happened to catch them last night, and I watched for like 10 minutes. You know how I feel about them. So, but and they were completely non-committal. Completely. I mean, they were saying 25%. So I was done with that. I was like, well, they don't even have anything. You know,
I get it.
Had nothing, and I get that, and I'm not even saying they should have had something. But I mean, you know, there was the only reason I was there was for that. So, everything that I've heard though from guys like Stoy and them is that mom wanted to, they were high on it, and that it was the handler uncle or whoever this coach is or whatever that wanted to make sure that he took all of his visits. Okay.
Yeah.
So
I get the whole not wanting to put a definitive on it because I mean, let's be honest, those two have been burned.
I feel good about it, but I wouldn't say I'm guaranteeing anything. These are kids; you never know.
Shit, you never know. And I mean, I think the biggest examples you can point out with those two is Parker just got straight up. I think his bullshit meter on Winery was just bad on that one, but Brandon got straight up just duped on the David Hicks. That one was just like that man got straight up duped.
They got drug on that shit.
That one, I'm not friends with them, not a huge fan of them, but I will back Brandon Drum on the David Hicks shit all day long.
Oh, I know what happened. I mean, that wasn't anybody's fault. That wasn't anybody's fault. It looked like, I mean, he was making it look like Oklahoma the entire way. Right.
I think, dude, it was Oklahoma the entire way until somebody else came in last minute.
Yeah, there was never a time that they didn't act like that was going on. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah. See, even Jimmy says here Hicks still hurts.
Hicks still hurts because like every portal cycle, you have to ask yourself, is this the cycle he ends up at Oklahoma? Because I do think he will play at least 1 year at Oklahoma.
I don't know.
Daddy ain't making it past this year.
Are they not winning?
No.
Oh. Okay.
Daddy ain't making it past this year. So I think he'll play at least 1 year at Oklahoma.
Well, but as far as and the thing with Hicks though, he's still, I mean, they're still paying him, it sounds like. And now that Elko's there, I think some of that's going to slow down.
Yeah, but do you think Daddy's still going to get paid? Because that's really what this is.
That was all that. I don't think that was all it. I mean, there was still.
Yeah, but they kind of getting that money because of Dad. But here's my deal. I do know that there are players currently in Norman that play on this team they have been trying to recruit Hicks to Norman still. Like they're still they have been trying to get Hicks in the portal to get him to Norman.
him and Stoney are boys, aren't they?
I'm not going to say what players it is. I'm just saying there are players in Norman, and there's at least 2 or 3 that have been trying to get him to go into the portal and get him to Oklahoma.
Right on.
And that's another reason why we don't like to talk about it, but at the same time, it's like you kind of have to ask yourself every time the portal cycle comes, is like, okay, well, is there going to be a David Hicks signing?
Yeah.
But if David Hicks hit the portal, I think you're going to see something. If he hits the portal, I think you see a very similar situation to Dominic Williams.
I think that when it comes to Williams, he looks like he is the real deal. I don't think I feel like Texas isn't in it, and you can tell me what you think, because you know that they are loud and obnoxious until they start really feeling like they're not getting somebody, and then they start telling you that they didn't, that they suck anyway.
I haven't really heard much on the Texas front with whether they're in it or not. I know Mizzou's out. Mizzou took a different portal defensive lineman. It would shock me to see him end up at Mizzou at this point. So I would think the main 3 are probably Oklahoma and LSU, and then Texas. But I haven't heard much about Texas to say that they are still a contender. But Texas has got the money to be a contender, though.
Right. Of course. But okay, what are you hearing as far as the NIL stuff though? Because one thing that did interest me that I heard from the OU insiders while I was on there is that it may even have been a situation, not just a number. They said that they thought, like what Teddy and Gabe had said, that it was a record number that they offered to him, number one.
Mm-hmm.
But then they also said that it could have even been whatever the number is, any of these other places will match or even beat.
Yeah, I don't want to be the person that throws the number out, but it was dropped in Jay's Discord like a couple days. It was on Monday, I think. After his the Monday after his
there was
visit.
an actual number, but it's not.
There was an actual number, and then there was belief, hey, Oklahoma would go above this number by this much, and then there was like a, hey, well, the number's actually open-ended. Like,
Okay. I got it. Yeah, so Daniel Armstrong says the problem with Hicks is he would have to sit out a year because of the SEC transfer portal rules.
Unless he's a graduate.
That only applies, though, during the spring. It doesn't apply after the season. After the season, it would work out. They just don't. The reason that they wanted to make that happen was because if you've come to spring ball and you have their playbook, they don't want to deal with that.
And
right.
the other thing is, so, I mean, the thing is, you should not expect Hicks to hit the portal this season. If he's going to hit the portal, it's going to be after this season.
He's more in the rotation now than he was last year.
Oh, yeah, especially now that Walter Nolan and guys like that are gone.
Towards the end of the year, he was playing a lot more anyway. But he's starting to, he's firmly in like the number 2 right behind the Dendy kid. So that's where he was as far as what our lads was saying.
I think he's probably going to be their number 1 defensive tackle. Honestly, I think out of those two, if there's anybody that's hitting the portal, I think it's Dendy. Yeah. But again, it's going to be after the season. But I've also said I don't know if his dad makes it. So if his dad doesn't make it, David Hicks might portal after the season.
Here's what I would tell you though about this: if you end up seeing them pull the trigger on this settlement with the House versus NCAA, because they're talking that is coming down the pipe. So this transfer window stuff may end up settling down at some point because there's going to be actual revenue share. They're deciding how they're going to do that, so they may contract it in, right? Now you may see another cycle or so of the silly stuff. But I don't think it's going to happen a ton, folks. I do not think it's going to happen a ton much longer because it's people are, I mean, and I think even, and again, I'm not one of these people that thinks they shouldn't be able to transfer. I'm saying if they're going to get a contract, put some kind of guardrails on it, that's a good thing for your schools. I still feel like no matter what, Oklahoma is proven that they're not as vulnerable at this point as you've seen a lot of these other schools. Look at USC, man. They don't know if they're coming or going. They don't.
I think if they can, the thing is, you can't put a ton of restrictions on the transfer portal until you rev share.
Unless you rev share. Yeah.
And in my opinion, how they should do it is they should say, doesn't matter what conference you are in, every team in the Power 4 conferences, it has to pay their players, let's say $60,000 a year, put everybody on an equal level, right? Your collectives are not basically what your collectives are doing now. They're no longer allowed to do that. Meaning NIL is going to be strictly NIL at that point. So basically what your collectives are doing now is saying, hey, like we'll give you $60K a year to come play here. And then some players might get a little more depending on their talent. That would end because now everybody's on the same equal playing field. You know what you're going to get. And then when you get to a school, then you can actually focus on NIL, like commercials or branding with the car dealership,
which
something
is exactly
like that.
What NIL was supposed to be was to be, you have sponsors and doing stuff like that where you're using your name, image, and likeness because you have an endorsement deal.
Correct.
It was never supposed to be what it is. In fact, at the very first, when they started talking about this, collectives weren't supposed to be a part of it. That wasn't even supposed to happen. So,
correct. But if you fix that, I think that fixes a lot of the craziness with recruiting and transfer portal. Because again, everybody's on an equal playing field, and then it gives. And I know people don't like to hear this.
Be able to do it, but if you do get out of your quote contract or whatever, you're probably going to have to pay a buyout.
Well, and I know people don't like this. I actually love NIL specifically watching what Missouri did last year with Williams Nwaneri and some of those guys. I know people are going to like to hear that. I actually love it. Here's why. Because NIL now is going to give schools like Missouri an opportunity to be relevant, or at least be good, or be bowl eligible and contending with some of the top contending teams in the country, because they can keep a guy like Williams Nwaneri home and pay him bukus of NIL money and say, hey, like, it's not just this NIL money over the next 4 years you're going to get NIL money for the rest of your life playing here at Missouri. That's what I like about it. I think it's going to create a little bit more parity in where these players go and disperse the talent around a lot more. So you don't have an Alabama and a Clemson dominating for 8 years, and you kind of know what your national championship is going to look like. That's what I like about it. And so I think it'll provide a little more structure there. It'll tighten it up, pull it in a little bit. And then once you have that revenue sharing in, then you can say, okay, we're going to treat the transfer portal like free agency. You have from this time to get in, and that's the only time you have to get in. And once you're there, you have to stick it out until free agency opens again. But once you're in, you can take 8 months to find a play. You can take 8 months to find a school.
I think they're going to have to extend it, though. The problem that you run into, and this is Jay and I have talked about this, and you probably have with them too, is that the portal opens in the wintertime because it's a semester. And if they're going to change places, if they're going to change schools, they have to enroll. So that's a problem, because if you have them on a salary for the season and you're in the playoffs, say, but they're not playing, and maybe they're a backup or something, you don't want them leaving. But
correct.
As of right now, you can't stop that because of the fact that you have to be enrolled at a certain time to get into that next semester, right?
I don't know what it's going to look at high level, but I'm pretty sure that's going to be an easier fix than what we all think. I mean, I'm sure they're going to figure out a situation or a solution to that with kids being enrolled. Personally, in my opinion, I don't think the transfer portal or free agency should open up until after the national championship game is played. That way, players are staying there at their schools and are playing in these championship games. Now, to kids opting out of the bowl games, which I think is a huge problem, that's a whole different story. I think you'll probably see a lot less of it in the playoffs. Like, I think if you're in the playoffs, you're not going to see very many kids opting out. But for bowl games, I don't know what the answer is. I thought the answer always is, hey, if you're the Pop-Tart Bowl, you should pay them a certain amount. And if there's a specific player you want to see in there, like Caleb Williams, pay him just to say, hey, we're going to give you $500,000 to play in this game.
Well, and that's what you've heard this from a lot of places, that they could have already done that, and they could move this thing forward a lot quicker if they would do that, and just even one state, and the dominoes would fall. So, let's say they were upset about, like, Florida State throwing their little tissy fit that they've been throwing about not getting in the playoff, which I'm not saying I blame them. I understand, but if they were to say, that was one way that you could kind of fix this whole problem of, look, we're going to start doing this. We're going to pay them. We're going to, the legislature would have to go in the state and say, we're going to make it legal for you to pay players. Now those bowls would be like, hell yeah. Because now all of a sudden the bowls that have been the marquee bowls may not necessarily be the marquee bowls anymore, because it depends on who's got the money. They sell a lot of damn Pop-Tarts, so they can give these bonuses. You just never know what you're going to get. But I feel like things are going to I think that we are coming close to an end of just to where there's no rules at all, right? Again, it should have never got to this point. This is an NCAA problem. This is not a kid problem. They didn't make a single rule yet. Not one. So I don't feel like this is a problem that it's something that should have been fixed a long time ago, but it should have been all those years. I said this a few times, the Ed O'Bannon lawsuit that kind of started a lot of this mess, that was like over 10 years ago that he started that lawsuit. Over 10 years ago. And when the Supreme Court came down on the NCAA and said, if they were a regular business, he would kill them. You know, he would throw the book at them basically for their labor practices. They knew they had to do something, and they just willy-nilly threw NIL out there without any rules. It's been ever-changing. That's why you've had Tennessee, Virginia, a lot of different there. When you got your member schools are suing you now, it tells you something. I don't know. That's the only thing I'm wondering is the NCAA still going to be who's in charge of this thing for college football anyway?
To be honest, I don't think so. I think it's going to be I think it's going to be the Power Four. I think it's going to be the Power Four. And honestly, the ideas of, hey, let's take all of the best teams out of these Power Four conferences and let's just make a super league, and then let's take everybody else, put them in G5, and if you're in G5, you have your own thing. Like you're doing, it's not going to be like, so basically you'd have like Power Conference, then you'd have G5, and then you'd have Division 2.
Right.
I think that's the way to go, because then anybody in G5, they have something to play for. It's competitive there, and then you can kind of do what you want with your power teams. Like that's I think the best way to structure it. Or in my opinion, I honestly don't think this is. I think we're going to be in this huge, massive Power 4 structure maybe for, what do you say, 10 years, 10, 15 years. And then I think it's probably going to get restructured, everything again into regional base like it was before.
Yeah, I don't know when I mean, they definitely, as of 26, and you've got 2 years for this playoff deal. They haven't decided anything necessarily yet as far as format and all that for 26 and beyond, which is a 7-year deal that they're getting into there. But it could be 5 years. I think it's 7 years from 2026. Maybe it's 5. I'm not positive about that. I'll have to check. But all I know is that it seems like that would be the time. But they specifically, they just they cut up the money moving forward. So they may had to make sure they could do that so that they could, they would have a deal moving forward after 2024 and 2025 playoff. But then once it starts in 2026, you don't know what's going to happen. So because they didn't decide on a format, there was pushback from the Big 12 and the ACC, which was kind of most of that. But that's where, from what we're hearing, the SEC and the Big 10 were on the verge of killing it all and just going on their own, which that's not what anybody should want. But it doesn't sound to me like the ACC is standing on much of. They're not on solid footing right now. That's for sure. ESPN can kill their deal. They can stop paying that in 2027. They have to decide on that by, I think, next year. So that could be any time. And plus, you've got Clemson and Florida State suing. So,
well, to be honest, if you're
house of cards anyway,
if you're the Big 12, to prevent from dying, you're going to have to go out there and grab Miami, Florida State, North Carolina, and one other school out of the ACC. Like, you got to go grab the 4 biggest brains from there, pull them in your conference. Otherwise, it's just going to be the SEC and the Big 10. And the SEC and the Big 10 will poach from the ACC and the Big 12. They'll take whatever they want, and it'll just be those 2 conferences.
The way they initially brought that up was they were saying something in the range of like 40, I think, schools. And you wouldn't even have to change your leagues to do that. So, so even if you stayed in the Big 12, there was a number that you had to be able to stick by. So this is where I feel like there may not be the NCAA involved in this, because they were talking about there's a number you had to make. In order to qualify, your program had to make $100 million a year, because everybody was going to pay the same amount. So according to, I think Okie like Cody was saying, that they are just over $100 million a year in revenue. Texas Tech was just under it, but it's close enough that they would probably qualify. I don't know that Kansas State or Kansas is there, but it shouldn't be that far off. Houston would almost certainly qualify. I would say that TCU would probably certainly qualify. We know CU is at this point. But with everything that's going on with Deion Sanders right now, who knows how long that's going to last. But
forever.
the Arizona stuff, the Arizona schools, they've struggled with money. So I tend to wonder about that. And I believe that Utah is up around 100 million though too. So you would have at least 5 to 6 probably of those, and then UCF I'm sure would probably be able to. They've got the largest alumni base in the country, so that would probably be another program out of the Big 12. Cincinnati, I don't know. I mean, some of these Big 12 teams you tend to wonder, but it seems like maybe Iowa State would, maybe not though. So it's just a matter of that. But whatever that 45 is, BYU, I guarantee you they would be able to qualify for that money wise, because that's a brand fairly similar to Notre Dame that they've got a worldwide following. They make money. So that's not a problem for, the LDS faith and stuff. So we'll see kind of what happens. But in the end, I think that that's the only thing that would kind of, you're definitely going to have to find that they know where this is headed, and it's headed in a revenue share fashion. It's not like they can't afford a revenue share. If they stick into this lawsuit, which the lawsuit's scheduled for January of next year, so they have to settle this, because they can't afford to just come out of pocket for $4 billion right now. That would kill the sport. They can't afford it. So you have to settle this. If they make this settlement, that's what they're negotiating. It could take a day, it could take 2 months, 3 months, but I promise you it doesn't go to January. I just don't see that happening. So something's going to happen. You may have to deal with one more nutty transfer portal, but probably only one. We'll see. But that should make most people happy, I would think. And, obviously it's going to have to be held up by the courts, though. We'll see kind of how that goes. But anything else you got? Any other nuggets of info that you think? You got a time on this at all? Have you heard anything?
No, nobody's got a time. And that's it. And I just want to put this out there. Again, this is all highly speculative. Nobody, including myself, has been told anything definitive to say Damonic is going to end up at Oklahoma. For me, it's just I'm looking at tea leaves. What are you hearing? Can you read between the lines? And this is what I think. And honestly, nobody's really putting their ass on the line. I'll put mine on it and say I think he's going to be a Sooner, just from everything that we've heard. I'm not gonna wave on it. But no, I mean Oklahoma's doing good on the recruiting trail. It sounds like things are going well. So I think we're about to have a really plentiful next couple months on the recruiting trail.
Yeah, real quick. So it sounds like, well, what we've been seeing is that it sounds like you're probably not going to be getting, who was it? Kobe Sellers. Sounds like Kobe Sellers is maybe trending more to Texas A&M, but that brings in Tristan Haynes now from Carl Albert.
No. So I'm going. Okay, so I understand why everybody's putting in the predictions for Kobe Sellers, but I'm just going to put this out there. He has not made his decision. Yes, Texas A&M is trending up, but he still is going to be meeting with Jay Valai next week. They still have a conversation, and Jay Valai has told him they want to take him and Haynes. So this belief that they're only going to take one of them, they're only going to take one of them. It's not true. They will take both.
This is why
I see everybody jumping off the ship, and I'm like, don't be jumping off the ship so quickly. Sellers loves Oklahoma. There are a couple things that they need to iron out and redefine. I think A&M has made it a really tight race, and I'm saying it's A&M and Oklahoma. I really don't believe Texas is a huge player, but I think it's Texas A&M, Oklahoma. A&M's made it really tight. Oklahoma is going to be getting to meet with Sellers here next week. So I want to see how this unfolds over the next week before I officially say, yeah, Sellers isn't going to be a part of this class. Because I still think with the relationship that Oklahoma has built, Oklahoma has had, Oklahoma still has a really good shot at getting his commitment and Tristan Haynes at the same time. Because I was talking to Jay about this, and I said, I think a guy like Gollery or Haynes, maybe you could try to shift into a safety role a little bit. Like, I think one of these guys could be you really like to see Brandon Hall and Jay Valai try to make some of these guys two-way players where they can play cornerback or safety. So I think you could get one of these guys to be able to do that, which makes it to where it's not like you're taking 4 corners. But at the same time, let's say you're losing Woody this year. You'll probably lose Des Malone as well to the draft. If Gentry Williams plays like he did last year and just sprinkle a little bit of salt on it, make it a little better, he's first-round pick. So, like, you're going to have to replace corners. So taking 4 is not out of the question. I was even talking to Jay. I know Brent Venables said he wants to take 22 players this class. I think there's a world where Oklahoma takes 25, 26 players. I think the cards have to fall out right, but I think there is a world where they take 25 or 26 guys.
Well, I mean, yeah, listen, and this is where, I mean, that kind of goes back to what we've been talking about, that this is why you're going to see when you start seeing guys in the portal, it's going to be because of that here, because they are just committing based on how much money Oklahoma is going to give them. Certain instances, in an instance like this, where this is a talent that you don't normally see, particularly in this portal window, that, yeah, they're going to go all out for it. But generally speaking, they're making a relationship with this person, and that's what you keep hearing. You keep hearing it from every recruit, that it's genuine, and then that they make these guys feel like, you know, they're a priority to them. So we know that Jay Valai's done a great job since he's got here. You know, the book on him was always that he didn't get those 5-star guys or whatever when he was at Texas and Alabama. Okay. Well, but if he keeps getting these guys and they're underrated and he's identifying them, and then Oklahoma starts, you know, if they start making playoff runs, some of those things are going to happen. Brandon Hall's done a great job with safeties, unbelievable job with safeties. Everybody on this staff is killing it.
Oh, everybody's killing it.
Is killing it. You know?
And I just want to make known, because I was talking to Jay about this last night as well. I listened to everybody throughout the day while I work. And so I was listening to the ref yesterday, and of course they're going through their K-Ref recruiter of the month stuff. And they're talking about Todd Bates and Jay Valai. And honestly, I'm shocked that Bill Beanbo did not get as much talk, because landing Brandon Hickman. Now, if Todd Bates lands Dominic Williams, Todd Bates has had the most impactful transfer this off cycle. But Bill Beanbo landing Branson Hickman, I don't think people realize how big that is, because I don't think have any questions about your starting offensive line and who that's going to be at the coming season. You got Jake Sexton, Heath Zeta, Branson Hickman, Fabichi Wewu, and probably Tarquin.
Yeah, listen, and I think that if you think about that too, Tarquin looked pretty good when he was at Florida. You know, if we get that guy, he's going to be, I think he's going to have an opportunity there. But yeah, it was huge to get Hickman. Big deal. And now focus in on the guys that you got to get in this class, you know, coming in, and turn this into another 5-star, another top 5 class, which they're in the top 5 now at number 4.
Did they jump back into the top 5? Because I know Clemson,
according to Rivals, the composite has them at 6. The composite has them at 6, so they're right around that top 5 range. But you add another one of these studs, and you know, we're talking, you could get that flip from USC, as we heard from Sooner and SoCal. I really love this. Speaking of Sooner and SoCal, hey, didn't Brisket Ball say you couldn't recruit in Oklahoma? Love that. That was funny.
I'm actually making some brisket right now, actually.
Yeah, it's not as dry as Lincoln's, is it there, PG?
I don't know how you get brisket or any kind of barbecue that dry. So
I know. I mean, what are you doing? It was so bad. And
however, I'm doing a brisket flat. I'm not doing a full brisket because it's just me and my wife. So a full brisket, it's too much meat. A little brisket flat's good enough.
Yeah,
but it's
you know, pass it around the neighborhood, man. That's what.
Yeah, no, I ain't spending that much money on everybody. But no, so the offensive line on the recruiting trail is actually pretty intriguing. And this is what I told Jay. I said, I still think Oklahoma lands one of these 5-star offensive linemen that's not currently committed. And I say that because I truly believe in my heart Ryan Fojay is going to be a 5-star. So one of the 5 stars.
Look, everything that his film is unbelievable.
Well, he hasn't been playing football that long, so I think he'll be. I think he'll be a 5-star.
I think he could be. If you look at his measurables, but his speed and his agility. I mean, you saw him out there leading the way on run plays and stuff, and pancaking the hell out of people. His film is unreal. So he could be. He definitely could be. But it doesn't even really. The thing is that when Beatonbow identifies them and gets them, he's going to do something with them. And look, if you're an offensive tackle and you're not coming to Oklahoma, what are you doing? Because the NIL is small money. Offensive tackles in the NFL make a shit ton of money.
Yeah, but it's not up to the players, and we know this because if it was up to the players, Oklahoma might have 2 or 3 5-star. Actually, no. Let me rephrase this. They'd have 4 or 5-star defensive linemen right now on this team. They would have at least 1 5-star offensive lineman currently on campus, and they might have 2 5-star wide receivers on this team.
Yeah, are you hearing
if it was just up to the players?
Oakland Park? Have you heard about Andrew Babaloa?
I have.
Oklahoma.
I heard Michigan, and then I'm gonna be honest. I have not kept up to speed on that kid as I have Fasusi, because one, I have a direct line to Fasusi and Ty Haywood, right? So those are the 2 that I've really focused on.
Are you still saying Fasusi's coming?
Until he gets on campus and has a bad official visit, I'm sticking with Oklahoma because and I'm gonna explain my reasoning. Oklahoma, the relationship with Bill Beatonbow, it's there. And when I have talked to Fasusi every time, he's either really good at saying all the right things or he really truly believes this, which is, yeah, the NIL money is short money. Bill Beatonbow, he develops. I know that Tyler Guyton getting drafted, like, since we all had the idea that he was going to get drafted in the first round, but it actually happening actually helped him and his camp a little bit. So I think with Fasusi, I think it's going to be a battle, but Oklahoma, I don't think is going to lose Fasusi on money. I think if they lose it, it's because somebody outside kept him from coming to Oklahoma. But I was talking to Jay about this last night, and I said when it comes to offensive line, I think you can put a really, really good class together without any of these 5-stars. And I said, I think one of 2 things happens. You get Fasusi and Ogumoro, and you probably round out your class there. Or you don't land Fasusi or Ty Haywood, and you don't land any of these 5-star kids. You get Ogumoro, Afalava, and maybe one other kid like Grayson Groover or somebody like that. That's a solid offensive line class. I think one of those 2 things happen.
So Neilio, he's our boy from KC Mo. He's always on the show and talks to us and stuff. But he said he has a really good friend that plays with Babaloa at BVNW. Says the word, that is the word around the team that's happening, or that he's trending this way. Anyway, they also have a 4-star interior guy, offensive guard Brock Heath, and he's more a K-State lean, is what he's saying here. But wouldn't be that surprising to me for any of these. Look, you're hearing guys like Andy Reid talking about Bill Beatonbow. You're hearing, and he's got 11 tackles in the NFL right now. 11 tackles. I mean, I don't even know what else to. If you're a tackle and you're not making a beeline to Norman, if you're a high end guy that could be that dude, and the offensive tackle is, your DNs and offensive tackles are the only guys, they make more money than anybody else except for the quarterbacks in the NFL. So to me, this offensive line league that, and we were just about to get into talking a little bit about that, but that Barry Trammell doesn't think they can compete in, it's not going to be that way for very long if it is that way. So, and I don't believe it's that way now, but line full of 4-stars and we go. Yeah, it is what it is. I don't know that here's the one thing. The other thing that I would say about the 5-star stuff, guys, is that 5-star offensive linemen are the ones that recruiting services get wrong the most in evaluations.
It's just hard. It's the hardest position to evaluate.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know about Caden Helms. These guys are asking about Caden Helms.
I don't think he's transferred.
I don't think he's going anywhere either. I think that he's
And, and because here's the deal.
They've kept his scholarship available. They haven't asked him to go anywhere.
Yeah. If he did transfer, he'd have to go to Grand Valley State.
Yeah. Where's he going to go? I mean, he hasn't shown anything yet. So
yeah, he would have to go to Grand Valley State or somewhere like that. Like, he's not going to get a big Power 5 offer, I don't think, because he hasn't put anything on the field.
I think if he was to get in and play a little bit this year, and you see somebody, you know, like the other kid for that, the Ohio State commit so far ends up coming back and maybe he's gotten in and putting something on film, then sure. But in the end, he's making some money doing the podcast with Nick Six, and I don't really see it. I don't think that he has a problem being here. His mother's close by. I see her on Twitter a lot. I don't think that that's something that they don't have a problem with Oklahoma. You know, so announcement could be when I don't know when it's supposed to be. I don't think it's going to be at 12:30, but it could be. I don't know. They haven't given a time. But again, I would just say I would caution people against getting too wild about the stars when it comes to O linemen. Those are the hardest ones to evaluate. That's by there's metrics on that out there that they hadn't figured that out yet. That the ones that they get right the most are that get drafted 5-star guys are defensive ends, defensive linemen, because that's mostly on what kind of athletes you are. It's an athletic skill position like that. And then quarterbacks, they usually don't. If you're a 5-star quarterback, you almost always get drafted.
Unless you're a Lincoln Riley picked quarterback, Malachi Nelson. They
get it about 5% of the time they get it right with offensive linemen on 5 stars.
Yeah. So for example, Tyler Guyton was a 3-star. Joe Alt, who was the number 5 pick, he was a 4-star. Now he's a top 180 player. So I felt like that was a pretty good evaluation, but I mean, it's those guys were not 5-stars in the first round. I don't think there was a single 5-star offensive lineman in the first round. JC Latham, looking up his star rating, I don't think he was a 5-star.
Yeah, there was. So they had more 3-stars get drafted in the first round than any other 3 2-star guys. They definitely made up well more than half of it. I want to say 5-star guys, they only had like 5 in the first round.
Yeah, but no. Okay. JC Latham was a 5-star. So he was a 5-star offensive tackle at Alabama. Number 5 overall player. But the number 5 overall pick, Joe Alt, he was 4-star player. Tyler Guyton, he was a 3-star. Olu Fashanu, he was a 4-star kid out of Penn State.
Yeah. Yeah, look, guys, Trent Williams was a 3-star.
Creed Humphrey, 3-star. Orlando Brown, 3-star.
Yep.
Walter Rouse, 3-star.
Again, I'm one of those people that says look at the offers, not the stars. Not as much the star. And I mean, you know, and I get it that Josh Pate loves to tell you guys that stars matter. He's been working for those people for a while. It behooves him to say that they matter.
Well, no, they do matter. They do matter. I think where Peyton maybe should have adjusted what he was saying was stars matter in the skill positions and on the defensive line. But when it comes to basically stars matter in every position outside of offensive line.
But here's okay. So Dominic Williams pretty much slipped through the cracks. He was a find, okay, and became a freshman All-American, and he was a 3-star. But why is that? It's simple. He wasn't going to camps. Same with Nigel Smith. He's a 5-star talent. He wasn't going to camps either. But if you look at Nigel's offers, it tells you what kind of player he was.
Well, Nigel Smith was a borderline 5-star kid, and he just stopped going to camps.
Yeah, he didn't need to.
The Nigel Smith one was just a weird one because he would have been a 5-star if he would have.
Think about it. If he chooses Ohio State and Larry Johnson, you know he becomes a 5-star.
I don't know because he didn't attend camps.
16 first-team All-Americans, and like all of them pretty much went in the top 5 of the draft. Yeah, and he was on him. He had an offer from them for 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think Nigel Smith probably would have still. I don't know if he'd have fallen as much, but I think he was still falling just because he wasn't camping. But I mean, honestly, like, and this is if
Majority
you're an
was
Oklahoma fan, why are you mad about these guys getting guys that aren't ranked at the beginning or 3-star or 4-star kids? Because that means they're just going to fly under the radar with a lot of these other schools. Like Ryan Foje, I want to be honest, because he's been committed to Oklahoma for so long, he's probably going to fly under the radar, and a lot of schools are not going to try to poach him.
Foje?
Yeah.
That's fine.
I mean, I bet you'll get one or two try to poach him, but it won't be like all of college football trying to come after this kid.
It's all right. Good. Good. We'll just keep it quiet about him. You know what I mean? Just keep it quiet about him. Okay, yeah. So according to CBS Sports, you had 7 5-stars, 15 4-stars, and 9 3-stars, and 1 unranked player that went in the first. So,
yeah, but I mean, like you had, and I would have to go back and do the research, but you had 2 5-star offensive tackles get drafted in this cycle, but I think you had like 3 or 4 in the first round that were not 5-stars get drafted in the first round. I don't know what it's like every other year, but I know there have been a lot of other years where the 3 and 4 stars are not even ranked offensive linemen have gotten drafted in the first round. So like I know that ratio is higher over 5-stars. So again, I think Josh Pate made a very good point. 5-stars usually get drafted. When it comes to the offensive line, though, I think has got to be the only exception.
I'm telling you that one. There was a video that I watched it before I did that, right after the season, after their recruiting haul, that I did that breakdown of some of that stuff, and then talking about Shannon Terry, how they, that it wasn't as scientific as they make it sound, right? Because he was talking, Shannon Terry himself was saying that, I guess because he's really tight with Brian Hartline, that he listens to what Brian Hartline has to say about receivers. That makes sense in view of the fact that aside from Marvin Harrison Jr., these other receivers have not been as good out of Ohio State as they were whenever the last receiver coach was there. What's his name that has his own show? Zach Smith. They were much better. But because they love Brian Hartline so much and he's tight with him, he even got into a story about it. Shelton was telling me about it from High Top. Anyway, the point is, and then I ended up finding this video that these guys did an exhaustive study and put together a lot of data, and it was between 5 and 10%. I'll have to go back and look exactly what it was, but it was between 5 and 10% of offensive linemen that were 5-stars that got drafted in the first round, or it may have been less than that for the first round. And I think it was right at like 10 to 15% maybe all getting drafted. If you're a 5-star, you're probably going to get drafted unless something happens. But they had the lowest number by, it wasn't even freaking close. That and linebackers was the other one, was the other position group that they had the hardest time with. So that's why if you think about it, how many 5-star O linemen do you generally see? Not that many. Not that many. You'll have more corners, safeties, quarterbacks, receivers. So it kind of is what it is. Anyway, anything else for us there, PG?
Not unless you got any specific questions.
That's about it for me. I was just gonna kind of troll a little bit on another show, and then I'm done here too. I've been going for a while, so I was trying to just kind of see if we were gonna get a decision yet, but I hadn't seen one yet.
I would bet you'd get it later in the day.
I think it's probably gonna be like this evening.
Because I would bet. I don't know if they got all the meetings in yesterday, because I think they left LSU yesterday, so I wouldn't imagine any like let's say all of the coaches outside of LSU came in, and let's say they gave them each a couple hours. I don't think they would have got them all in. So I would imagine some of those meetings are probably bleeding over to today, if I had to take a guess.
So that picture, you think it's hard to tell whether that picture was today or not, that what we saw from there. It sounds like this handler's a first class troll. So we'll find out what's up, man.
Listen, props to the handler and the mom and this. Travis tweeted this out, and I 100% agree. Isn't it so nice to not actually know where a kid's going and to kind of have this suspension drama?
Definitely surprises me that nobody has leaked anything out. You're not hearing.
But that's the handler has done a phenomenal job though, at building this. But the thing is, though, props to them.
Not even getting at it,
but props to them though, because they have stuck to the plan. They told everybody this is what we're going to do, and they have stuck to it. They haven't deviated from it. Props to them. You don't see that a whole lot.
Hey man, yeah. Listen, and I don't blame them. Go figure out where it's at. I hope that not that I trust it, but I hope that they were correct when they said that it could be an open check. So the negotiation, and Topher here is saying OU has last meeting apparently with Dominic. Where's that coming from, Topher?
That's nice. Topher's like a secret insider that we don't know about.
I like Topher, man. He's cool. He's got all these guys though. They all seem to pop in here with some info when they have it, which I appreciate that because you guys know I'm not chasing down this shit. That's why I called PG. Dude, I'm not doing it all. I'll sit.
Dude, if you ever saw me in person, I've shown Jay, but if you've ever seen me in person, and I've just
okay, thank you. Yeah, he said take it with a grain of salt.
No. If you've ever if you ever see me in person and I show you my DMs on Twitter, like it'll make your head spin because it's too many. I feel terrible because sometimes like I can't respond to somebody quickly. And I'm just like, I feel so bad because I didn't respond in a timely manner. Like, that's the one thing I will say, like, the insiders will just always be better me than this because it's their full-time job. I can't sit here and respond to kids all day.
No, but those kids, I said this a little while ago. You're out of all of us Oklahoma creators that aren't with Sooner Scoop or, OU Insider or whatever. You're the one that talks to all these guys, the most of them. We've talked to a few on this show. Jay and them get some on theirs as well. But you talk to these guys often, not even just necessarily on the show. So I definitely appreciate you coming in and giving us some, insight into what you heard. I appreciate that. And if, hearing from his mama, that's good. That's good stuff. If she's pro OU, I feel good about it. We'll wait and see how it turns out. And, but yeah, man, check us out tonight. We'll be on for No Cap SEC, so we may end up talking a little bit more about this. Obviously, we should have something by then. So I'll hit you up here a little bit later.
All right, sounds good.
Thanks, PG. Later. Preston Kent from the PG Show. Guys, make sure if you are not already a subscriber, you should get over there and become a subscriber to the PG Show. Also, Unfair Sports, the Horns Down podcast with K. Chris and those guys. Obviously, we've got Oklahoma, we got it covered when it comes to, round the table sports. These guys are definitely on top of their stuff. Whoever was in here saying that earlier, that he's acting like he knows more than he does. As I said, out of all of us that do content for Oklahoma, Preston talks to these guys the most. So you can say that, but I don't think he's just saying it for the sake of saying it. And I don't know who you are, so I'm not sure why you say that. Anyway. It is. It's more OU based, but yes, it's a lot of recruiting though. His thing is he keeps up with recruiting, does a lot of that kind of stuff. Yeah. But it is definitely an OU, more of an OU show than anything else. He's definitely an OU guy. Yeah. See, so this is something, Sooner from SoCal. I think that this is something that I agree with right here. The LSU has no D line, so why go there? I kind of agree with this because the guy that was like trying to argue with me and another Oklahoma guy from last night on Twitter, and he kept saying how, I don't know why he was comparing him to Byron Murphy, and he's got 10 less tackles in 2 seasons than Murphy had in 3 full seasons. So I don't know what he's talking about. But and he stayed on this PFF stuff or whatever, which is PFF, they grade certain things, but it's one thing at a time. It's, and maybe he kept going back to the run grade, against the run grade. Well, against the run, Dominic Williams didn't have a 350-pound running mate taking up freaking double and triple teams either. If he played at Texas with Sweat, then that would have been one thing. He won't get that necessarily right now at LSU either. I mean, they've got some guys that they're getting through recruiting, and then they, having Bo Davis. I think that's the X factor for LSU is having Bo Davis there. I feel like that's probably why Texas is struggling to fill up in the portal. I mean, they had the UCLA guy that backed out, and he was supposed to be coming to Austin. And that was an important get for them, and it didn't happen. I haven't really heard of them being that close with the guys that are either of the guys that are from Michigan State. I don't know. So, but I think that this is where I said before, I think that was a mistake letting Bo Davis get out of there. I think it was. Famunda, that's a cool name. What time is Damonic projected to announce? Sounds like it could be this evening, my man. I'm keeping an eye on it here on Twitter, but as of yet, we don't have anything. Nothing yet. But I'm refreshing every probably 30 seconds. So if anything happens, look, guys, I mean, yeah, we're not going to have any PG slander in here there, Ringo. You hear that from who are you hearing that from? Brandon and freaking Parker. They think that they're the only insiders. He talks to those guys personally, a lot more of them than almost. I mean, I'm not saying that he does more than some of these other guys because he isn't a full-time on it, but he talks to these guys all the time. He was talking to Dominic's mom. She's OU. We're going to see what happens. So there will be no PG slander in here. Yes, it is. Yes, it is, Steven. Lole, Terry, Halton, Stone and Jackson, like it. That is a good name, right? And PG does put in the work, yes. So LSU ended up getting Barrow? Well, then they definitely needed a lot, though. They definitely needed a lot because, and then they got the kid from Indiana, right? I was pretty sure you got the kid from Indiana. Let's see. There's a couple in here that I was going to ask. Hey, this is a good point right here. Stars matter. Kansas State, Oklahoma State would never have a snowball's chance in hell to beat Texas, but they did. True. Stars matter, but not as much as they act like they do. What really matters is what kind of coaches you have. And, I heard some of these guys are lazy. Some of these coaches are lazy. I think that's a prime example of that was Jimbo and what he was doing the last couple of years. If they were 5 stars, they were tossing a bag of cash at them, right? They weren't recruiting the way that they would. Some of these coaches are like that. If you look at guys like, Lincoln Riley likes to take shortcuts and go get guys in Tampa and get them in the portal and stuff like that. He's very similar to what we're seeing out of guys like Deion Sanders, trying to win now, think you're going to go get somebody who's already got some experience. But again, I don't know how much longer this portal craziness is going to last. I don't think the portal's ever going away. But if you get some kind of deal where you can do rev share, then they can slow it down at least, right? It is what it is. But you're, as I always say, I put more stock in who are you getting offers from? Okay. Who are you getting offers from? If you're getting offers from the big boys and SEC schools and stuff, then you know that it could be off. If you're getting Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Oklahoma, Texas, LSU, those are the guys that get a lot of 5-star kids. Florida, for that matter, SEC schools. Tennessee will get them from time to time, but you have to expect that's how it's going to be. It's not going to go away fully, no. I agree there, Steven. T-Boomer. Appreciate that. As you say, as a Texas fan, we haven't heard we were targeting MSU kids, really only Williams and the kids from Arizona. Right. Okay. I had heard the UCLA kid, though, was supposed to be coming there, right? I just heard that from Nino's show last week. I trust Nino from Nino's Corner, David. You got to develop, though. Absolutely, you got to develop. I like that. I mean, listen, I don't think any of this is outside of the realm. It's you've heard a lot of that and if you guys like to listen to the insider guys, the scoop guys, McQuistion seemed to think that they still had a really good shot. And really George Stoya has been on this particular recruitment very hard, and he has never wavered that he felt like they wanted to commit before he left on Sunday. It is what it is. Yeah, that it's just for this. It's just for I think that's huge for the coaches. Apparently, are the ones that wanted that, and it's smart. If you're an SEC coach, and they've been, okay. This is what surprises me though, is that no. So the Iowa kid, right? He was a Big Ten kid, so he was able to go back to Alabama. But could you imagine that? I mean, that's like espionage if it was somebody good. It's like say that kid had went to Georgia instead, and then he wanted to go back to Alabama. Ooh, it would have blown up the SEC meetings and media days and all that stuff. It would have been, there's shit like that happens. What's up, Cracker Mac? Boomer. Sooner. Odds are good if Mama's for OU. Yeah, we'll see what happens, man. Yeah. No, and I like the idea of doing that for the spring because they don't want them to come in, be able to see the playbook and all that stuff and how they're doing things, and then be able to go report it off to somebody else. So I get that stuff. In the end, until they do a rev share thing, they're not going to be able to control any of it. And I'm surprised that wasn't challenged in some way. Of course, a player would have had to have done it. So that came from the coaches. That's how they wanted it. Greg Sankey made it happen. Nobody challenged it. So, yeah. No doubt. Yeah, and the thing is, he's from there. You know what I mean? It's like, to me, that you ever going to be welcome back in freaking Iowa if you're Caden Proctor? I don't know. It's tough. Okay, guys, we have 46 likes. We've had over 600 folks in the stream so far. Make sure you hit that like button. Share it with your friends. We appreciate that. Look, so important for us content creators for you to share. And like I said, we're doing the best we can. I was glad that PG came in here to kind of talk through some of that. Again, for you Oklahoma fans, it's you continue to hear more of this OU slander. I'll get more into that a little bit later on, but look, you're starting to see where the metrics and some of their recruiting is catching up to the people that are going by metrics. And as what we saw from Adam McGlintock, who calls himself the CFP professor that's on Patreon. He's pretty much well on the money. We're going to get into a lot of that tonight on No Cap SEC right here on Hall of Fame College Football. That's at CFB-pod. Make sure you guys pop in for that tonight. Not positive on who we're going to have on the show tonight, but we will have somebody here with us. May have a Texas guy talk a little bit about what ends up happening with this deal. But we'll see. He said there's a guy from Tunnel Longhorns that said he wanted to set me straight on the Texas roster. I know what it looks like, bro. But he's welcome to come on, and I like this guy. He's a pretty good guy. And but look, we'll see kind of what happens. That may talk to some of these other guys from around there. Look, some of these guys may be able to come in, and look, we're gonna know for sure. I would think by the time that's at 9:30 Eastern time, so we're talking 8:30. Probably should know something by then, right? 8:30 Central time. I think it's gonna be pretty good. But hey, Neilio, thank you for coming in. Appreciate that, man. We've had a lot of people in here. We still got 125 folks in here. T Boomer, Neilio, Topher, thank you guys for coming in. Cracker Mac, good to see you again. Stephen Corliss, Jay Fez. Jay Fez, are you new guy? Welcome in. If so, I agree with you. Topher, David Cooley, Famunda, the great name, Famunda, great name. Johnny Ringo, SoCal from Sooner, Corliss. We had obviously Ryman Lemon, Stink S Cat, another one of our members. Love all that, folks. Before you get out of here, get in there and check out. Hey, if you want to become a member of the Hall of Fame Mafia, you can do that for as low as $2.99 a month. Get into our Discord. We like to go back and forth in there, get some information as well. Hey, we have our official show merchandise from hofmedia.us/pod-merch. Our QR code t-shirts with a special message for Texas folks. Jump on there, check out our store, our official pod merch store there, hofmedia.us/pod-merch. Also, if you're a golfer and you like, great moisture wicking, stretch, fit, amazing stuff, Melreg Performance Golf Apparel, our partners, got great performance, style, and price. If you know anything about going to the golf shop and getting a shirt or anything like that, these shirts would be well over $100. You're getting them for closer to like $40. They're unbelievable. Get in there and check it out. Melreg.com/JW_HOF. That's right above my head there. And then again, one more time, I'm just going to tell everybody about our partners at Mint Mobile, largest 5G network in the country. You don't have to talk to a salesman. You can do everything online, and you get unlimited talk, text, and data for the first 3 months of service for just $45. That's $15 a month. You can try it out before switching over from your big wireless carrier using the same phone, because you can use the eSIM card that you just sign up for all this stuff right online. $45. Check it out at the same time that you keep your other one, just in case, you're worried about service area. It is on the nation's largest 5G network. Great. I tried it out myself. I only kept the other one for a month. I was paying $200 a month for 2 phones. I'm now paying, starting next month, will be my first at full price, $30 per phone. So it's $60. I'm saving basically $140 a month. Get in there and check it out. TryMintMobile.com/HOF. You should definitely get in there and check that out. It's worth $45 to figure out what I did, that it's the same stuff. Big Wireless wants you to think you need them. You don't. Get in there and check it out. We appreciate everybody coming into the show. Guys, as always, the reason that we do this show all the time is because of you guys. I appreciate that. Greg, thanks for coming in, man. Appreciate that. Stephen G, T Boomer, Bishop, Frank. Appreciate you guys, man. Sooner from SoCal. Hankster, as always. Chicken was in here earlier too. All of our members, all of our regulars, Collins, McDaniel, Egner. Appreciate you guys coming in. We'll be back tonight on No Cap SEC right here, same bat channel. We'll see you then.